Hello there again, YouTube. Remember last week about my discussion on the anime Another? I had told you that I would be returning this week for the anime Log Horizon. So let's begin. For all those curious, Log Horizon is a 2-season long with a believed 3rd season in the process because they left us off on a cliffhanger at the end of season 2. But it is fairly good for 50 episodes, 25 episode seasons. But for a 50-episode anime, they do very well. Now, having that out of the way, let's get down to the episode-by-episode synopsis and dissection. Log Horizon, to many, feels like an SAO clone. Because of the success of SAO, Log Horizon came around, which makes people think it's a clone of SAO. It only has a slight few elements it carries with SAO. For one, the main character, Shiroi, the villain in glasses, a legendary player who's been playing the game Elder Tale for a while. One of the infamous players of the Debauchery Tea Party. It's just a fun name to say. Don't ask me why they decided that, but they are a group of people who play the game who are not directly descended with a guild. Their whole thing is they are a party that do massive raids. There's one party is capable of running raids that most guilds can't. But, keeping that in mind, Shiroi is probably one of the most dangerous people of that because he is their strategist. He can break down every incident into a step-by-step formula that will lead to the most probable cause of their victory. The reason I say probable is he's not always successful, as Season 2 will show. But, with Shiroi, we also have Naotsugu, the Guardian, who is exceeding pervert, who has a philosophy. There are only two people in this world. There are only two kinds of men in this world: the ones who are in the closet about being a pervert, and the ones who are open about it. That is his philosophy. With him, he is another member of the Debauchery Tea Party who has an immense amount of strength. He's a Guardian. He's a tank class. Whereas Shiroi is an enchanter, a supporter-basis class that can kill, but he does so weak. He's so weak it's not funny. He is a party-based class that is wonderful with supporting. Sorry, I got a pimple there. It's not going to pop. Then we have the young RPer. Well, not really young. She's actually college age. The small RPer who loves to be an assassin, Akatsuki, who serves her lord rather faithfully. Akatsuki is an assassin basis, but she prefers to call herself as a ninja because she runs the tracker subclass. The subclass you can run, it gives additional abilities or additional skills. Subclasses can include scribe, apprentice, cook, maid. Oh no, it was chef, not cook. And multiple others, like was it leatherworking? Or no, tailoring, that was what it was called. With all these subclasses, it gives you an additional way to immerse yourself in this world. Some, like the tracker, give a combat-styled initiative, since they allow you to track your prey and give you fast escape tactics, which is why this assassin works real well with it. An actual ninja. Now, Shiroi wants a scribe. I don't remember what Natsuku's is. Continuing on, Akatsuki is rather faithful to her lord, mainly for the reason when they were pulled into the game, each one was turned into their character. So there were some who were taller than they should be, some who were shorter than they should be, some who were a complete opposite gender, and multiple people turned into a race they weren't. Akatsuki had a male character that was twice her size. So naturally, when she found Shiroi, she specifically knew he had a potion that changed the gender of your character from the start of the game. So he handed it to her, and it turned her from tall male ninja into tiny little girl, into tiny ninja. And funny with Natsuku is in the first episode, he saw Akatsuki, he's just like, "Are you an open pervert or a closet pervert?" And then immediately when she turned into a girl, he's just like, "I'm really sorry about my comment earlier. You cannot be a pervert because you're not a man. You can't be a pervert because you are not a man." His philosophy only goes to men. But continuing on that, We also get introduced to multiple other characters, but let's get down to the synopsis before we do this. The sum up of the story is, in the first episodes, it is people reaccustoming themselves to this new world because upon the release of the new expansion, Nova Sphere Pioneers, the multiple of about 10,000, I think it was about 100,000 or something, were pulled into a virtual world that until then, they'd only been playing games. Now made their real world, they must get accustomed to the logic of this game. For one, immortality for you. But there is a drawback that I will spill for you. In order to regain your life after you die, you have to give up a memory. And you don't get control of which memory it is. Gonna take a bite of a Hot Pocket now? No, I'm not being sponsored by Hot Pockets. I'm just hungry. But with the loss of that memory, it gets very bad to people. Now, continuing on this bit, we get a whole bunch of interesting stuff with it, considering good old, because one of his friends, one of Shiroe's friends, the guild leader Maria of the Crescent Moon Alliance. Maria of the Crescent Moon Alliance requests the aid of Shiroe to find their lost member, who is up in a city to the north. One of the 4 cities on the Japan server, where is a safe zone from monsters and PvP. PKing is so common, it's not funny. They head out in order to get the young druid Serura. Serura is up north in a very heavily claimed city under the control of one guild who exploits everybody. Upon finding Serura, they get a old rescue mission out. But they also find another member of the Debauchery Tea Party, Chief Nyanta. Nyanta is a swashbuckler who is one of the few classes that dual wields. I forget. Oh no, he was a chef for a subclass. Whereas Serura has the maid subclass. Don't ask me why. But with it is each one runs with their own basic stuff. They fight, all that, etc., etc. They run into the leader of, I forget the guild's name, but Demikos, who Shiroe makes the fun jokes of constantly, purposefully missaying his name, like Mr. Delicious. But it's fun, all that, etc., etc. As you break the character, as you go through it, they fight Demikos to get Serura out. The second they get Demikos within about 1,000 points of his life with Shiroe's spell Thornbind Hostage, which wraps your opponent in thorns that I believe obscures their movement, and whenever an ally, not you, an ally breaks those thorns, it deals 1,000 damage to their health. He's already low. They've already dispatched of all his healing squad. So, they each break one, except for one. When he gets ready to pounce, Serura goes and breaks it. He was under 1,000 hit points. He was killed. So he had to respawn at the cathedral. As they return to Akihabara, they bring up this a little bit. With Akihabara, wait, was it Akihabara? Yeah, Akihabara. But as they return to Akihabara, they come up with the whole thing. We need to solve this problem. This problem of all the PK and all that, when they notice a gloom has fallen across the city. So Shiroe sets forward a plan. As they had found out through their travels back, is that the food up until then had been bland. Like, if you bought it from somebody, it was bland. If you produced it in your menu so you didn't go hungry, it was bland. And all drinks tasted like water. And as it was, their statement of the food was, tastes like an unsalted cracker. So, they managed to find something on their travel back to Akihabara. Nyanta had found the secret to making flavor with food. You have to cook it yourself, but you need the chef subclass. Because if you try making it not a chef, it turns into a weird black sludge. So as such, Nyanta teaches this to them, and they come up with a plan. They return to Akihabara with the plan to raise 5 million gold Now, with this in mind, they return and they come up with a plan. Using the Crescent Moon Alliance at their side, they produce a burger stand. Crescent burgers, along with chicken tenders and sweet tea. They capture wildlife out there where Nyanta butchers them, because if you kill them, you get less meat, basically. He deals with them while they're alive. So they bring them back alive and make food from them, these weird ingredient bars. So, they're making the burgers and all that, and it's caught the attention of everybody. Everybody wants to know how the Crescent Moon Alliance had managed to come across this stunning revelation. Where was it? Shiroi? Who knows? So, with the help of Maria, they call together 2 guilds at the start of it. The guild, the Marine Organization, and the guild, wait, was it? Yeah, they call together Roderick's Trading Corporation, Shopping Street 8, and the Marine Agency. Those 3 guilds are the 3 most prominent crafting guilds. Guilds specifically designed to the production and selling of merchandise crafted by players. A very useful thing in an MMORPG. You're going to come across guilds that are specifically designed to that. I play World of Warcraft, so I actually know this. Then, using these people, they also managed to get in touch with another former member of the Debauchery Tea Party that started his own guild. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, but he's a ladies' man without meaning it. He is a samurai, I believe. Yeah, I believe he's the samurai class. And he leads the guild, the West Wind Brigade. With it, Shiroi contacts him and tells him what he wants. This guy completely is devoted to Shiroi's plans. Does not doubt Shiroi for a second, because he worked right next to the guy in raids, and this guy broke down the raids in their best possible ways. So, they call together a group of guilds. Not just one, not just 3 more, but a full of around 12, I believe. Yeah, a lot of guilds. So, they called them together. Using the people that you would believe, is they had them all for a reason. First guild, and Shiroi Billy Guild too. But first guilds were the merchandising guilds, the crafting guilds, Roderick's Merchant Corp, Roderick's Trading Organization, I believe was what it was, Marine Agency, and Shopping Street 8. Those were the crafting guilds. Then you had the combat guilds, which were DDD, Knights of the Black, it was something, but led by Isaac. Honesty, Knights of the Silver Sword, West Wind Brigade, and I could swear there was another one. I can't remember its name. Oh no, there wasn't another one. But then there was crud, there was another one. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Log Horizon. Okay, let's see this up here. Sorry if I'm taking it. Sorry if I'm obscuring this and all that, etc., etc. Okay. The other ones. Nope, that was all of them. Oceanic System. Roger Trading Guild, yeah. Okay, then there were the small guilds. Crescent Moon Alliance, led by Marielle. Grandeur, led by Woodstock. Radio Market, led by Akiene. And Log Horizon, led by Shiroi. It was Black Sword Knights, okay. Now, each one serves their purpose. In the certainty of it, each of the battle guilds works as a defense system for Akihabara. The trading guilds act as the way to get a merchandising and stabilize an economy for this. And the small guilds, with the exception of Log Horizon, each small guild works as the way to say the players who are weak and don't have a say in this have their say. These small guilds are the voice of the people. Except Shiroi. Log Horizon is not one that speaks for the little man. They can, but they're not meant to. Shiroe's guild is at that point only 4 members. Him, Nyanta, Akatsuki, and Naotsugu. Right there, that's 4 level 90s, but the level cap's 100 that nobody's reached yet. The highest at this point is like level 91 at most. So, keeping that in mind, they keep this in mind. The reason Shiroi is there is because he invited all of them. He has his right to be there because he invited them. Now, upon his acclamation that he wants to stabilize an economy, he wants to set laws in place to prohibit people from PKing and all that, to set ways in motion for debt and stuff. That's what he plans. One of the members, the Silver Sword Alliance, or what was it? Knights of the Silver Blade, or whatever it was. They don't believe this is the way. They believe they are a raiding guild in tow. So they get up and leave. This leaves about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 guilds left of the 12 he called to order. Now, he proposes that to them. At the time, as well, there had been a problem with some of the guilds. They had been getting guild pots, which are given to low-level players to help them speed up their levels each day. Each low-level player would get them. The higher-level players of the guild would grab them and sell them for pretty good prices. And that was it. They got their food that way. They got a day's meal each time, and their board was covered with each EXP pot they gave them. They also went out and did other stuff as well. Now, each one was regarded with a little bit of contempt. They were never agreed on, especially since they were always put with high-level players that attracted high-level mobs. Now, continuing on this, Shiroi had a plan, to which he needed 5 million gold, to which the 3 guilds he had contacted, the 3 merchandising guilds, gave him the remaining 4.5 million he needed. So, they gathered the gold together, and his plan is set in motion. Akatsuki is keeping an eye on it, and the second everything begins, she gives him up-to-date information, and he just laughs. They launch a spring operation to get all the low-level players out of one of the guild halls. They succeed. Each one gets the hell out of there. And there's a slight problem with it. Some of the actual members can't get out. These are the high-level players. The people who actually joined for the XP pot abuse. Now, continuing on this, good old Shiroi is laughing his ass off as he's hearing all this happen. Eventually, somebody asks him, "Why are you laughing?" Villain in glasses. "Why are you laughing?" And he tells them of what he'd done. When the expansion launched, every single building was capable of being bought, not just selected buildings, including the background buildings. You could buy any building. So, Shiroi bought the guild hall, which contains a guild bank, and all your extra items drop when you die. So naturally, he abuses this. To each person who disobeys these laws and disobeys the order, he will ban them from the guild hall, make them on a black list. One guild he had heard of who had been abusing a couple of his friends was the first target. And he told them simply, he was faced with the question, "Are you going to exploit us then?" He's just like, "No. I will only blacklist people who disrupt this order. Will you disrupt this order?" And each one, almost as if this was the final push they needed to agree with him, they all agreed. Now, the next bit is, now that the round table is set up, they set everything in motion. An economy, a base combat system, an army of the guilds. They don't force anybody into anything. They give them the option because the adventurers are free. None are slaves. They do whatever the hell they like. So, keeping this in mind, in the next bit, we go with them being contacted to go to a banquet. So, they know that they can't send all of them there. They need people there to keep the city alive. So, they debate over who to send. They need a member of one of the merchant guilds leaders to go, a very good charismatic leader of the battle guilds, and somebody else. It was down to a game of rock, paper, scissors of who would go, and the one selected to go was Marine Agency's very own Michitaka. Sorry. Now, when Michitaka was sent, he did not seem too happy about it, though he does look the imposing figure. With it as well, they also elected to send Krusty of DDD because he is a good politician. He's good with politics, he's a good flatterer, and he's a ladies' man, so yeah. Keeping that in mind, they all said Krusty would be good. Krusty, to get his retaliation, also said, well, we should send shit away. He knows what he's doing, and if it wasn't for him, none of this would be happening. Due to an epic stare-down, he was elected to go. Each one grabbed a small contingency from their guild, not big, but a small one. Krusty grabbed about a couple of advisors, I believe. Shiroway grabbed Akatsuki, because he's a four-man guild. Well, actually, no, it's up to 6 now, because Minori the Shrine Priestess and Toya the Samurai joined this guild. The reason they joined is for one simple reason. They trust Shiroway. Shiroway trusts them and their friends. With this, they trust Shiroway more than anybody else because he trained them back when it was a game before they all got sucked in. Now, on to the next bit. Is due to all this, you would think this would be simple. Just go, have Mike and all that. Truth is, the king of Estel, no wait, that's not the right one. I'm thinking No Game, No Life there. But the king of these lands wants to bestow onto them lordships, which they go there and tell him. He just says, oh, so to give one of you a lordship would be unfair to the others. So he's considering giving 11 lordships. Now, later they agree that having a lordship on any adventurer would be a bad idea. Because most adventurers would agree to it, but it would upset balance in Akihabara, and they need to keep the balance there. The king agreed, etc., etc. But the banquet there, they've just had discussions, all that. Eventually, an event happened. That usually happened once every 2 months, I believe. The rise of the Goblin King. There is a method to stop the rise of the Goblin King, which increases the numbers of goblin mobs exponentially. This method is simple. You aim at the goblin tribes to destroy the strength of the highest goblins. That way, they can't pick a king. And as such, the Goblin King does not rise. Now, keeping this in mind, they go on and on and on. Monsters have a reincarnation system as well, which is why they never die. But the Goblin King has risen in this because of the chaos of all these players trying to set up an economy in Akihabara. So, they've managed to get together and actually set things on the right course. They managed to get everything ready, all that, and they... Sorry. Hey, bro. Now, with it, the game proceeds to get them all into... I forgot where I was at, actually. Yeah, Rise of the Goblin King. With the Rise of the Goblin King, and now that the game runs an essentially different amount, and yes, that is my older brother who doesn't really know what I'm talking about. But, continuing on it, the Rise of the Goblin King increases goblin numbers tremendously. Going for would probably be the highest goblin army would be thousands. They're probably about 1 million goblins. Hey, Jen.
1 million.
My brothers don't even know anything about this anime I'm talking about.
1 million. That's 17060. Sorry.
But with these numbers, they are much more coordinated than the average goblin.
The number is often denoted by a hashtag, #, whatever you want to call it.
Continuing with its the whole thing of these with the goblin numbers is they are a coordinated army now and proceed to attack in a large amount of properties.
Said attack, right?
They're not goblins. But anyway, with it.
Stop!
Continuing, they attack cities and towns easily enough and continue to attack because now they have a minor form of intelligence. So, continuing, Shiroi and the others begin forming up attack parties of volunteers wanting to go in. By getting the people actually there, by actually having people volunteer. By getting people to volunteer by using the Princess Lenesia, they managed to get... I'm turning my screen off so I'm not constantly laughing. But with it, Princess Lenesia manages to get a lot of adventurers to volunteer, and they form attack groups out of them. These attack groups will attack goblins from various different areas. Shane, your breath stinks. I hope you realize that.
I just got off work. You leave me alone.
Yep.
Right, come on.
But with each one...
Hey! Goodbye, Sean.
I think I just wasted 10 minutes trying to talk. Hold on. Okay, not 10 minutes, but still, that was a lot of time dedicated to trying to talk around those two. But using this, they also had a camp going on to increase levels for low level players. Let's start there before we get into the whole attack groups. Shiroi has elected to start a group, basically a summer camp to increase levels for lower level players. Any player level 20, I think it was below level 40, was allowed to go. As such, a lot of players went. They were going to be led. The two people in charge of this camp were Natsugu of Log Horizon and Guildmaster Marielle of the Crescent Moon Alliance and of the Round Table. So, it's during this camp that the goblins begin attacking. These players elect to help out. A lot of them, anyway. Because they get attacked by sea goblins at first. Then the land goblins are coming. And among a group that had been spending about 2 episodes getting to know each other and getting their rhythm down, were Minori, Toya, Izuzu, Sarada, who had been introduced. Izuzu, though, is a human bard, level early 20s, believe it or not. But she is a supporter type class, the bard always is. And finally, Rundle Hascode, the wondrous level 21 mage. And this mage, it works a lot like the World of Warcraft mage. They are a ranged DPS style class. They're a supportive attacker, but they don't offer enchantments to really strengthen you, etc., etc. Now, continuing on this is you learn that you get this whole thing where they get to know each other, they have fun. Izuzu tries to add Rundle to her friends list, as she had tried to add everyone else. But she can't seem to add Rundle, who calls himself Ruddy. That is his common name, is Ruddy. Rundle Hascode, or Ruddy. So, they continue on it, getting to know each other. Then the goblins attack. They form into squadrons to kill off goblins that are getting ready to attack this small town. Knowing this, they take initiative. Knowing they can't defend the city, they decide to attack the goblins before they attack the city. Taking this into account, they prepare for an all-out battle. Eventually, the fight ends up in the city. They evacuate as many as they can. They kill off goblins, every left and right. Kill, 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 slash, 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 burn, burn, burn. Now, they have the aid of others like Naotsuku, Nyanta, all that. Now, then an unthinkable happens. Rundle gets harmed and is near death. Now you might think, he's an adventurer, he'll be fine. No, he's not. He is a person of the land. He is one of the people of the land. If he dies, he dies. He has no option of coming back. So Shiroi is contacted by Minori. Knowing this, he begins instructing them. You use one heal, you use another heal. So as such, when he gets there, he does a mana distribution, which is mana channeling. He takes the mana of everyone in the party, which they added him, and gives it to everyone else equally, in a hope to wake up Rundle. Finally, he uses an incense that revives one party member as a zombie for 3 minutes. And he gives Rundle an ultimatum. You can either die, or you can live. You see, he'll either die a person of the land or live as an adventurer. He wanted to be an adventurer, so he signed the contract. And the condition that this contract must be sealed, you must die at least once to become an adventurer. So the incense wears off, and he vanishes. But instead of just straight up vanishing, he finds himself somewhere. He finds himself in the cathedral, reborn anew. We don't know what memory he lost, but he's reborn again. Now, of course, there was the whole talk with Mirror Lake, but that's for the scientific side of it, for a breakdown where you learn how the whole life HP and NP work if it depletes too low. You lose too much mana, your mind breaks. You lose too much health, your body dies. That sort of thing. And the stage of Mirror Lake's pretty good, but it's sort of the scientific side, and it's kind of hard to keep track of all this because you got a lot of stuff going on. But this is nearing the end of Season 1. As we're nearing the end, Rhodey has already joined Log Horizon. One of the conditions to become an adventurer is that he would join Log Horizon. Joining with him was also Izuzu, who had joined the Crescent Moon Alliance, but then decided to join Log Horizon. Not because of Rudy, just because she had more friends there. Sonora stayed with the Crescent Moon Alliance, of course. But with Izuzu, she joined and became their bard. Low levels, since by Season 2 they were only early level 40s. Levels capped 100. You got a long way to go. But they prepare. Now, this reaches the end of Season 1. The last thing you need to cover in Season 1 is that there had been one guild in a city to the south, named Plant Wyden. Plant Wyden has gained control over their city, not through the means of raiding and pillaging, not through the means of an organization of guilds. They rule because their leader bought the cathedral and has basically put in a law. If you are not of Plant Wyden, you cannot use the cathedral. So their numbers is there is no other guild but Plant Wyden. Now, on to Season 2. We open up in Season 2 with them getting new gear and all that. They meet up for a roundtable conference among the roundtable. They are in desperate need of funds, so they are speaking to the Kuni clan, the sole proprietors of gold in the world, the richest clan out there. Due to ancient treaties, though, they cannot give loans. They can take your money, and they have to give you an exact payment back. Always. So, keeping this in mind, Shiroway learns it's a lost cause, but they need money, because at the rate they're going, with all the festivals they do, Akihabara will run out of money. Because they do, they actually do a summer festival. Yeah, but that's more of a side story, really. It's not really one to cover big time. So, Shiroway decides to orchestrate a raid attempt. Now, raids in this are very much bigger than regular MMOs, considering the monsters now are 3D and real life. And there are some dungeons they don't know about. So, he organizes a raid because he had found out where to go for gold. A dungeon called the something shaft. I forget its exact name. But they go in there. He manages to get... He leaves with Naotsugu at his side. Naotsugu elected to join him. He can't tell anyone in Akihabara about the financial difficulties of the Round Table. So, he goes up north to where the Silver Blade are. To where the Knights of the Silver Blade are. I think that was what it was. With it, he also runs into an old familiar face, Demikos. Now, he meets up with their leader, the elf, I forget his name, but he meets up and gives him the idea of how they're going to work this. He agrees without even explaining it. It's a raid attempt. He trusts Shiroway. He even regrets not joining the Round Table, but he didn't feel like that was the right way to go at the time period. Afterwards, he learned differently. But with it, he organizes it up, but they are short of a couple people. He manages to find a couple people, because Naotsugu runs into a girl by the name of Tetra. Tetra is a very unique girl, considering she views herself as a pop idol, as the galactic pop idol, but she also views herself as a bit of a tease. Because she likes teasing guys. The two guys that run into her are the Sage of Mirror Lake and Gil Naotsugu. Sage of Mirror Lake she doesn't view as fun to mess with. Naotsugu she has fun messing with. So, she has the habit to climb all over Naotsugu as well. But, continuing, they walk in. Tetra is talking about how Demikaz had kidnapped this girl to make her a maid a piece of land because he viewed it funny, which he fell in love and married her. And he doesn't like to admit it. He's got a bit of a tsundere attitude towards it. It's not complete tsundere, but it's funny. But he keep this in mind. Demikaz hears this because when that guild had come in, they basically challenged Demikaz for dominion. Demikaz lost, his guild was disbanded, and he was forced to join their guild. Now, Demikaz does not like this too much. But they're going on a raid attempt, and he views this as his best chance to defeat Shiroi. So, they go into it, and they do this very effectively. Demikaz is a DPS monk. He has speedy attacks, speedy recharges, speedy casting times, and he's a heavy hitter in good armor. That is the monk for you. So, he does all of this, and he's still around for everything. I'm losing track again. They go in, and they get confronted with the fact that the first boss they run into is a boss from a previous dungeon, like a Gardens or something. But there was like 10 gate guardians all that brought into this dungeon, with each one gate excessively more hard to deal with. But with each one, they continue to get more and more way out. Each one gets progressively more difficult, because it starts off, the average level is 90 among the trash mobs. The boss is about 2 levels higher. The highest level boss there is a level 97. That may not seem like much, but when you consider each level gives a good buff in your stats, by 3 levels, that's a leap in stats. And that can hurt very much. So, naturally, there are a lot of people. Hold on. I've got to look up these bosses. Sorry. Okay. They're not depicted in the light novel, only mentioned. Well, regardless anyway, each boss is exceptionally difficult. Keeping all that in mind, each one is capable of wielding very powerful abilities. So, naturally, Shiroi has to make plans for everything. With the guild in place, they manage to delve deep. They keep dying and dying. But they eventually best their bosses. Then, they reach the Guardian of the 7th Gate. I forget his name. It's a giant black knight that can turn into a white knight. So they go up there, they fight it. They learn what these little shards do when his armor comes off. So, they learn that in the fight and hope to actually beat him in the first attempt. Then you notice the gates are opening. What does that mean? Does it mean they're getting close to actually succeeding? Nope. When those gates open, it begins awakening 2 other bosses and aim at the area you're going to be fighting in. Now, they all wipe. It's the first time Shiroi and Naotsugu have died. Now, in Akihabara, we covered that episode simpler. In Akihabara, there is PK incidents going around because somebody has stolen a Royal Guard's armor suit, which keeps PKing from happening. So, Akatsuki and a group of others begin thinking of, what is this? And the West Wind Brigade joins in because it's been killing the members. And specifically, only adventurers. So as such, they begin looking into this incident, trying to figure out what's wrong here. They eventually find him, and every person who was fighting him Almost all died except for one who managed to escape before he found her again. Now, keeping this in mind, Akatsuki gets PK'd, her first death in the game, and they learn firsthand of losing the memory. Each one comes into agreement of all their imperfections, all their mistakes, and accepts them. That they have to spend that time reliving their mistakes in that one death. And then they return to Earth. Well, not Earth, but Yamato, whatever. So, they return after a little heartfelt talk between Akatsuki and her master. They return now with the courage to fight again. Akatsuki begins orchestrating plans to kill this one person. Well, not kill, but subdue, at the very least. Whereas Shiroi has now found out plans to deal with the annoying ones. We'll go with Akihabara right now. In Akihabara, there is one way to stop this guy. Break the circle of protection that keeps monsters out and keeps the Royal Guards functioning. This means the Akihabara will become a PK possible zone. Unfortunately, they have to do it, or else they'll never solve this problem. They sever the magical connection, and the Royal Guard armor, after they've been fighting exponentially long, they knocked him down to about 20% of his health. Royal Guard suit was now down. So, she didn't aim at it. The other thing to keep in mind is the flavor text is becoming real. One of Krusty's guild members has cited the very dark flavor text. The flavor text happened. Took Krusty and her arm over to the China server. We'll talk about the China server in a little bit. We'll talk about Minami in a little bit. But sent him and her arm to another server. So, keeping that in mind, they went on. We also see that the weapon this one person in the land has, this member of the Kuni clan, who had stolen the Royal Guard suit, has a very cursed flavor text. Basically, it carries the spirit of the monster that held it. And it's possessing him. That was one sword Akatsuki wished she had gotten, but now wishes she hadn't. She wants to destroy it now. Her sword broke in battle, and the smith who had sold the sword to that person in the land, threw her a new blade, another katana she had, that she had reforged so as the flavor text would not cause anything bad. This sword she used to break the cursed katana, destroying the spirit's connection to this world, and freeing that person in the land. Now, by this, he's now no longer stronger than them. That katana and that armor was what made him a god. Without the katana, he would have been dealing less amounts of damage and less effectively. Without that armor, he wouldn't have been able to do half of that shit. But, now defeated, he's not dead, but defeated, they leave it to decide that his fate's not for them to decide. So they basically return to the Kuni clan, if I remember right. So, back to the raid attempt. Shiroi has broken down everything, and he's managed to find a way around it after a very heartfelt speech by the guild's leader. So, he manages to give them how it's going to work. They will fight this one boss until the gates open. Then, one party will go down to fight a boss, and the other party will distract the boss. I'm not sure well, they were going to kill one boss first anyway. So they begin focusing on that boss. One of the bosses is that the knight didn't follow him. I think they killed it, honestly. Then, they had two bosses to deal with. Two high-level bosses. So they fight and fight and fight. They keep fighting, and eventually, Demikos, while fighting, manages to kite away all of the little creatures. The knight, which we believe had still been alive, had been dealing damage to himself so as to produce these little annoying black knight bits. So we think he died in that way. I don't know exactly. But these two bosses, along with an entire army of those black knight armor pieces, went straight to fighting. These knight pieces, Demikos decides to kite them away, increasing his DPS to the point where he can kite them away and lead them away from the raid party. So, he leads them away and takes Shiroi with him. There was a method, though. in a hallway, he stops him. And he's just like, "What is my name?" And Shiroe's just like, "Well, this isn't the time. What is my name?" And then it hits Shiroi. He had been not just insulting him, but he had been being outright rude to Demikos. Because to Demikos, his name's all he has left of himself. So, Shiroi submits and says Demikos. And good old Demikos says, "You're not dying back there. You're dying here." And leaves. For a good reason, because that bit was the exact area they needed to go. The Fountain of Gold, where all the gold that was going to be distributed to all monsters was. Shiroi is the only one entering, of course. That's where his plan springs into action. He goes in and meets with the leader of the Kuni clan. He meets there and gives the proposition. What he had learned when he died was simple. He did not trust enough people, so they didn't trust him. So, he pulled out a contract to which the boss behind him, the Guardian of the Ninth Gate, the most powerful boss there, which was level 97, was getting ready to attack, but the Kuni guy calmed him down. And he produced the contract and ripped it in half. Suddenly, a bunch of gold is added there. Shiroi confesses to him that is all the gold they've spent on the guild hall, the cathedral, everything in Akihabara. The round table's payments on it. That was all the gold being returned to where it belonged, along with all the rights of those specific buildings given to the land of Yamato. No one person can claim it. It is the land's. It is unobtainable. You cannot own it. So as such, this catches the Kuni guy off guard. And Shiroi just straight up says, "This is why I want the loan. I want to buy everything in Yamato and return it to the land, so it can be fair to all." He had wanted to give all rights of all lands, all buildings, everything, to the land. You can rent them all, blah, blah, but a person of land can't own it. So, he wants this very ready. So upon this, the raid group had managed to kill the two bosses. We believe he killed the third too, I don't know. But they killed two big-time bosses. There was one left back there, maybe, but all of them defeated a pile of treasure waiting there. And they divvy it up, of course. The leader gives a strong show of goodwill to Shiroi. Turns out he had wanted to be a member of the debauchery tea party, but they disbanded before, well, all that. We'll get into why they disbanded at another point, once we reach the end of the season. But completing that covers about the main points. That he goes to show good faith with it. Has to be on his friends list, but is already on Shiroi's friends list, etc., etc. The next bit, we go into, the quest. Shiroi has managed to get a hands on a quest. This quest is simple. Obtain the magic bag. It is an item that all adventurers must need in order to be truly effective. But it's a quest drop. With it, he organizes his good friends. He organizes the small group of Log Horizon and Sarara to go on it. He also sends Nyanta to keep an eye on it. They don't know that. Now, Tetra had joined Log Horizon as well after the raid. And you find out Tetra's a boy. Tetra is a trap. He's a guy who got sucked into the game who was playing a female character. And he takes the girl role way too far, honestly. But it's funny. Now, keeping this in mind, Tetra is now a member of Log Horizon. And she still clings onto Natsugu for no apparent reason. And even one point, when they're getting ready for the quest, she climbs out of his shirt. And Natsugu didn't even notice how Tetra had gotten in there. So, and Natsugu doesn't know Tetra's a guy. He's the only person who doesn't. But, with it all, you get all this ready. They all give their bits of advice and send them on their way to go get it. Now, oh wait, I forgot that little summer festival, but That was more filler anyway. You get a stupid lord. You get a stupid lord who, for Planet Wyden, had been trying to ruin the festival for the Round Table. Didn't work out too well because Shiroi had managed to win off from Planet Wyden. You know what I'm trying to say. But Wyden is playing a move on the front. They go out on their movement, and monsters are being agitated once they get further out after they get their carriage. Cetera also gives a funny because they see the axe, they're just like, Sir, while they're just saying like, oh cool, Sarah just looks, they look delicious. Silence. Eh? She sticks her tongue out in hunger. That was a great way to break any atmosphere because that just made you laugh. Hello. Continuing on their mission, they also find a group calling themselves the Odyssey Knights, a group of suicidal people. Yeah, go ahead and try them. They're actually pretty good.
Sloppy Joe Fry.
Anyway, with it, they find that these Odyssey Knights are a bit suicidal. Thank you. With it, though, the Odyssey Knights want to return home. And the way they see this is if they die, they at least get a glimpse of home. So they think if they die enough times, they will return home. What they don't know is that they're losing their memories. With it, they fight monsters rather suicidally with a mobile cathedral where they all respawn should they die. Naturally, when monsters attack it, they retaliate and kill the monsters. So, continuing on this fight, they continue it on and on. Toya gets mad, accompanying them as well as Planet Wyden's leader. Sorry, there are little points you will jump over without meaning it, because the big points tend to be the focus. But Planet Wyden's leader is capable of changing her figure and all that. Basically, she's able to mask the identity of that she's an adventurer and turn herself into a person of the land. So, she doesn't fight, but she keeps an eye on them. Eventually, Toya manages to confront her and says, "You look better without that smile." And she's just like, "Why would you say something so hurtful?" And he's just like, "You'd be more easy to trust if you weren't smiling all the time." And it's immediately there that she remembers why she had loved Shiroi so much. He was blunt and honest. And there, she had agreed what they were doing wasn't right. Because they had organized an attack to be sent on Akihabara. They wanted to claim Akihabara, pretty much. But she was a puppet figurehead of a maid of hers who is rather scornful and hates Shiroi for some unknown reason. With it, she gives the order, this leader of Planet Wyden, and says, "Quit the attack on Akihabara. We're going home." And upon this, Nyanta had gone in there to confront it. A person of the land there, of considerable measure, was almost dead at many points because Nyanta was about to go for a killing strike before each hit was blocked by another former member of the Debauchery Tea Party, a samurai. I forget his name, but he used to be kind and all that. Now he's hardened. He's battle hardened. So, with it, they fight. They go on their way. When they receive the order, this one person in the land is scornful, but obeys the order. They go back to their home. So, keeping that together, Nyanta and the others return to Akihabara, and he gives his report. The little group manages to return with the items ready to make their magic bags. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention our row 2. On their journeys, they confronted a summoner who's capable of summoning companions. All that. They're a supportive DPS type class, like pretty much like the mage, just less fireballs. So they run into a summoner named Row 2, who has the subclass Vampire. All it is an appearance change that weakens you in the sunlight. It's a cosmetic thing. So naturally, she goes she manages to help them out and all that. She gets a big pleasure from being called Big Sister. After hearing Minori's speech and all that, she agrees to help them fight off the wyverns that are attacking the town. The town's destroyed, but many people survive because of their efforts. Now, they begin their return home. You also get a little thing with Izuzu. That was it. But that's really... It wasn't really necessary for that arc. I mean, it was basically just like, okay, I'll make a 43rd song for your 42. That's basically about it. And it was cool. Like, the music, beautiful. But it was just like, is this really necessary? So we won't go too much into detail that bit on their adventure, but it was kind of cool, but it was really unnecessary. Now, going on to the next bit, you also learn that Toya had been paralyzed from the waist down, which is a bit depressing, really, because he had been a soccer player. But going on to that, they finish up that little adventure. Let's go, before we go into the next bit, we need to cover the China server with Minami and her group. The group is the Minami, the former leader of the Debauchery Tea Party, who is a very high-level brawler. She was the main reason they disbanded, but we'll go into that when we reach the end of the season discussion. With it, though, along her side is an American player by the name of Leonardo, who is dressed in a full frog one. I get the reference, though. It's funny, because she likes to call him Frogginardo, which is hilarious, because she was like, hey, Frogginardo, it's Leonardo. But I get the TMNT reference, but it's still hilarious. Because you see an assassin in a frog suit. What are you going to do? Along with them as well is the, I forget her name, but she is a cleric healer, sort of like how Tetra is. She's a cleric. But her personality is a complete shot because every player got ripped in, whether they're human or not. This player was a bot program created by the Chinese. So you basically gave this one program sentience, but she doesn't really have much emotion to drive her. So she constantly asks people, do you need healing? Do you need healing? Do you need healing? And then, of course, they have, I forget his name, but it's the NPC, the only level 100 we've ever run across. But he fights alongside them because Minami, for some reason, managed to give him a reason to keep fighting. Now, they found a little thing called geniuses. And they're just like, geniuses? What are these? Now, nobody knew what these were. So they fought them and realized how strong they were. They took them down, etc., etc. That covers it pretty much. There wasn't much happening with it. You got introduced to the characters, basically. And China's a giant desert, sort of like a Midwestern desert. So, they get curious. So, they go on their way. But that's the last time we see him until the season finale. Sorry. Now, when we return to them, they're suddenly facing small problems. There's a sudden gloom falling across Akihabara again, for some unexplainable reason. Then, there's this one merchant, to start all off, that seems to be wooing adventurer girls very rapidly. And one of the members of the West Wind Brigade had been wooed and gone missing for a bit. They managed to find the merchant who was talking with her. They break the spell, and one of the girls, he gets pissed, he reveals his powers right in front of him. As he managed to make this one girl who wants to kill him, make him swoon for him. That's when they learn of this. They see there. His real title is Genius of Marriage. Now, we learn that these are a sub-intelligent form of the alien Rotuus, because Rotu is basically an alien. But they are the sub-form of it. They're weak in the mind, but strong as hell and everything else. They are what they call a level 2 sentience, whereas humans are a level 3 sentience. Now, I think this covers is the fact that is their intelligence ratio, honestly. Like, humans can be very intelligent and have a very wide set of emotions, whereas these things have a one mind track. Their minds are on one track, just one. Whereas a human mind has so many diversions along its path, it's not funny. But, continuing on it, is learning all this, you get an interesting bit because new monsters are attacking Akihabara and all the cities. One of the geniuses had sprung into action. This genius was the genius of summoning, who summons forms of mobs that induce a comatose sleep-like state in both people of the land and adventurers. These mobs, Akihabara didn't have a defense system, so these mobs were able to get in with little ease, with much ease. So in Akihabara, that was easy. But even the ones that still had a defense grid up, the scales of these creatures were getting through, and if they got onto you, you fell into the comatose sleep. They attacked each night, so as such, they looked for them and found the source. As such, they had to go in and kill these creatures. What they learned is that they can't let their mana go too low, or else they fall into the comatose sleep. If their HP falls too low, they have to respawn elsewhere, which would take up too much time. What these creatures are looking for are called Empathions. I don't know what they are. I'm not too clear on what they are, so we'll just call them Empathions. And row 2, it said, since we are of a level 3 sentience, all these resources are ours to do as we wish. They are not theirs to use. And that she said, you need to contact a link to the moon to let them know. So as such, they get ready for everything that's about to hit the fan, since they have to now go to this raid in another city and kill the boss to stop this. They go and they fight. The trash mobs are simple, but there is one boss they need to kill, and that is the genius of sleep. Well, not sleep, genius of summoning. Knowing this, they go in and fight, because they don't know a thing about this dungeon. It's a maze, and they can't find their way through. At one point, they get so attacked by so many monsters, it's not funny. That they have to find a place to retreat to. People are respawning, all that. With this raid is also comprised of the entirety of Log Horizon, members of the Crescent Moon Alliance, and a few others. It's a ragtag raid group, basically, of the people who are still awake. So, they go in, they fight. One point, they get so surrounded by monsters they have to retreat, and they have to come up with a better plan. They have to get somebody to kite mobs away from them so they can deal with the boss. When that works, they all gang up on the boss and begin to try and kill him. At a point where his health gets low, he turns into this very weird creature. Let me look it up, but turns into this creature. His attack style, I believe, slightly changes, and he becomes exceptionally harder to kill. So they get. Hold on. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. That's the genius of marriage. That's the genius of balance. Wait, there's a pufferfish one to be introduced? Wow. Well, I can't find the genius of summoning here. But if anybody's watched it, they know who I'm talking about. Anyway, with the whole thing of the whole problems forming, they eventually kill him after it goes into another form, and it has insta-kill functions among him. Keep that in mind. So, they prepare, they kill the genius. Now defeated, they manage to wake up a lot of people. All the people who've been put to sleep by him were now waking up. It's here where Shiroi, whose plan was defeat the boss, save the tower. So they managed to work on the tower a little bit and get a connection somewhere, where they suddenly start saying, hello, konnichiwa, hello, guten tag, all of those. And he tunes in and is just like, hello? And just like, there's a response there. It's just, in response, it's just like, Shiroi. And it's just like, Shiroi and all members of the debauchery tea party who had been in that room, just like, Minori? Because even Shiroi was just mind blown that she was back in the game, but now Tsuku's look was just like, And of course, Tetra pipes in, is just like, oh, it's Shiroi's ex-girlfriend. There is a thing, though, is she is older than him, and that's the reason why she wasn't in the game, and why the party had been disbanded. When she begins talking to him, like, about what she had been up to, and one of the things she brings up is that her daughter was now 3. That single-handedly explained why the debauchery tea party, such a successful group of friends, had disbanded. She had to give birth and take care of her daughter. Now, Shiroi, she had never formally told Shiroi, or any of them, she had had a child. As such, she would each one was mind blown, except Shiroi, who had heard that she had given birth. So as such, he said, since never formally told you, congratulations. As such, you get this whole little heartwarming bit where you realize, well, you don't really realize anything. It's just a little heartwarming for some reason. Then she offers him the quest. Connect the worlds. Because there are people who want to stay in that world because they had nothing to live for in the other world. And there are people who want to go home because they have too much to live for in that world. So keeping that in mind, this idea will work if they can succeed in it. Now, immediately upon knowing that, the Sindamira Lake, who had been working on the thing to keep it connected, accidentally breaks it. And we know he didn't sabotage it because he'd been fiddling around the whole thing. If he wanted to break it, he would have broken it sooner. So with it, they put him in charge of fixing it while they all go off and do their own thing with a party keeping an eye on it. Whereas Tetra is entertaining them with her music, if you can call it that. Then, of course, there was knowing that bit, there was also one last bit with the meeting. They come up. There's a meeting for all the higher level players, basically the older members of the guild. That meeting contained Shiroi, Akatsuki, Naotsugu, Tetra, and Yanta. Tetra is not a part of the guild yet. But knowing all this, don't forget Tetra also has a crush on Yanta, very obvious. Izuzu also has a thing for Ruddy, though she won't admit to it. Akatsuki has a thing for her lord, and Minori has a thing for Shiroi as well. Leader of Planet Whiten has a thing for Shiroi. Henrietta of the Crescent Moon Alliance has a thing for Shiroi. This guy's basically becoming the new version of Kirito. But with it, each character, like, etc. But they have their meeting, they explain, Shiroi explains, like, the whole situation, etc. Simple stuff like that. So, they each They each go on their way, etc., etc. It basically covers it. I know I'm missing details there, and I know I didn't really do all too well, but looking at this video, I'm over an hour in length in this. Like, an hour about 6 minutes. So, I've covered the major details, I've covered the characters a little bit, I've supplied names. One little bit I forgot to mention was the leader of Honest had come up with an idea to try and take money from the richer players, give it to the weaker, so the smaller players. That didn't go over too well, so that didn't go over at all. So I'll just say this bit. That covers the basis of Log Horizon, really.
So it operates just like America. The rich don't want to come up off their money.
Unfortunately, that's very accurate.
It's a cold world. What game is this?
It's an anime called Log Horizon, where the people are pulled into the game.
That makes sense. I thought you were talking about an actual game.
But finally, just completed it all. Saying the end of it, I can safely say Log Horizon is a must-watch. On its ratio, I'd give its the story a 9 out of 10 because it has, well, actually 9.5 out of 10. It has a couple flaws there, but it's fairly well told. I give its characters a 10 out of 10 because they are enjoyable. For the music, it's aptly fitting, but it's not very memorable, so I give the music a 9.5 out of 10. Its opening's really good, but it's as for the background music in general, it's not very memorable. For animation, I would have to give it a 10 out of 10 for how flawlessly they animated it. And for enjoyment and overall, 10 out of 10. So it is a must-watch. Even its English dub's pretty good.
Hey Justin, I want to introduce you to Kira.
So,
So
completing all of it, I'd say it's a must-watch. Maybe not a buy.
dude, is that your mom?
No, I'm not his mom.
That little bastard knows how to smoke pot out of an apple.
But, sorry, I'm being distracted by Family Guy here, but thank you for tuning in to anybody who's watching this. I've seen 0 viewers on this whole thing all damn day, so thank you, and I'll be popping in next week. The anime I will be discussing will be Your Lie in April. Yeah, I'll talk about Your Lie in April next week. Very, very sad anime. So yeah, see you all next week.